It's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. We're back again after another hiatus, I suppose, really, during the international break. And I don't know, Paddy, I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to having Villa football back. Even though we have a slew of injuries, I'm still looking forward to it. And that's really what's gonna frame today's podcast, I think, is discussing most of those injuries, Paddy.
Yeah, I guess so. I think we can safely say we've all had our fill of international football at this stage, and the good news is we don't have to look at another international window till at least March. So we've full blown Villa between now and Paddy's Day. I think
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw the 20th is the playoff that Ireland are playing in, so it'll be Paddy's weekend. Will be our next break. So nice of them to take a break for my birthday. I might go away for a few days or something. We'll see. Not to an international game because I've retired from the international football. I've decided not to renew my season ticket, and I've just fallen out of love with it completely. So there you go. After 41 years going to Lansdowne Road. 41 years. That sounds like an awful long time, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought you would have gone to your first match before you were 20, Paddy, but
fuck off. Ireland versus Switzerland, 1983. You weren't even thought of. Was my first international game.
No.
And and I will go to the odd one, depending on ticket situation or whatever, but it's become more increasingly difficult as the years have gone on with work and money and everything else. So for the next while, Villa will come first. But I was looking forward to going to Leipzig, but I was unsuccessful with Leipzig tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I wanted out of this year was just to do one away trip, couple of Champions League trips, but that's fallen on its arse, unfortunately. So gutted over that, absolutely gutted. That's taken a bit of getting over as well. So anyway, I'll keep trying. And if anyone out there hears of 2 tickets, has to be in the away end, because I think I might upset her indoors if I bring my son into the home end. So unfortunately, that's what's killing us. I could have went to the home end. I could have bought tickets in the home end after being unsuccessful, but we wouldn't have been able to sit together, and it's just too risky. You just don't know what they're going to. So anyway, here we are.
Here we are, is right. Yeah. So if anybody hears of 2 away tickets going for Leipzig and can give Paddy 48 hours notice, you've got someone who'll take them off your hands. That's what I got from that. Yeah, look, international football for me, just to kind of tie a bow on this, and I don't know how many times I've said this. Was it the last one? No, it wasn't. It was the second last one. I think the great Aidan O'Brien, if I'm not mistaken, who now plays for Shells, might have been playing the last time. Or I always get him mixed up with somebody else who played for Ireland. Might have been at the last Ireland game I was at. But the one before that was when Ireland beat Iran in the old Lansdowne Road to get to World Cup 2002. That was the last international game I was at prior to that. And Roy Keane was playing, and he was absolutely outstanding that day. That was my last international game prior to the one. I think they played Germany, maybe. I can't remember. It was a nutting game in Croke Park anyway. It was an annoying game in Croke Park.
Before Roy Keane going to Iran for the return leg.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't get into that. Anyway, back to Philip. Jesus, we went off on a tangent very early there. 4.5 minutes in, and we haven't spoken about Villa yet. But we did. You talked about Leipzig. But so Villa play Palace this weekend. Isn't it strange, Paddy? You know, it's for some clubs they can never get off the top perch and the top pedestal when pundits and when um so-called neutral commentators are talking about them. And then for other clubs, the pat in the back is only ever a couple of inches away from a kick up the hole. And that seems to be the case for Aston Villa at the moment, that the pat in the back that they were getting last year, very deservedly so, and I suppose reluctantly in some areas, and more so towards the end of the year last year, they got the pat in the back, has very swiftly turned to a kick in the hole. And what I mean by that is the fact that you see an awful lot more outlets now saying, "Oh, Aston Villa's bad run," and stuff like that, as if we're infallible and aren't and are a fully healed outfit from the point of view of we would expect to go on runs like Man City. I don't know. We can take it as a compliment, Paddy, or we can take it as reporters talking out of both sides of their mouth. But I just tend to find that there's an awful lot of, I don't know what it is. It's an awful lot of kind of almost like told you so. I told you so kind of stuff.
Take it is. You can take it the way I take it. Don't listen to it. Don't let it bother you, and give them the two fingers and walk away. And listen to great people like Dan Bardell and Max Stokes, and congratulations to Max and Simon and all the lads on their award tonight. And also congratulations to Frankie and George of All Villa No Filler, who were nominated for an award. And that's the kind of media I'd rather listen to now than listen to the absolute drivel that I've had to encounter for the last 2 weeks of international football.
I agree with you, Penny. And also, congratulations to Freya Wright, Freya, who was on the women's preview of the women's season. She has her podcast, Absolute Football, and she also does a Villa women's podcast as well. So congratulations to them. They came in as the best new content creators, Absolute Football podcast as well. And It's fantastic to see that. Like it's like we just attract everybody who comes in our podcast seems to get one. Paddy, that's what it is. Nima, a lot of you guys will remember Nima from the Italian Football Podcast, who was on here. They finished second in the overall International Podcast Awards last night. Massive congratulations to them as well. So yeah, we've touched a lot of great podcasts. I like to think it's all because of us.
Somebody has already texted me here. Somebody who's in the comments has already texted me here going, "Why did you leave everyone else out?" I didn't deliberately leave everyone else out. I just said there are other fan groups and fan podcasts out there that we can listen to. Every one of them has their place. Not everyone's for everybody. We're not for everybody. That's absolutely fine. But I just rather get my news and media this way than listen to journalists who don't do their homework and talk absolute drivel about my club.
Yeah, and I have to say, there's been a lot of great things that have come out recently. I've liked a lot of pieces, and there won't be everybody's cup of tea that John Townley's put out recently. Highlighting the fact that we've got a guy inside that's over our team, and I know sometimes we treat him as a deity, and I'm absolutely okay with that. I'll completely treat him as a deity. I have no problem with discussing Unai Emery in the most exalted of terms. But the fact that the piece that John Townley put out, speaking to Lamar Bogart, speaking to Louis Barry, speaking to a couple of other people, that are there, and getting those quotes from them, and hearing them say that, listen, what you think Unai Emery is, add an extra 10 on the top of it, because he's even more I suppose committed into it than you actually could imagine. And also then you find out about all the analysis that goes on and the professionalism that's been taking place behind the scenes as well. When you talk about about who to listen to, who to read, I must say the beat, Aston Villa beat, is getting very, very good again. It's always been very good, but I like that counter kind of broadcasting, if you want, that's going out at the moment. And we still deserve our flowers. I hope we go and get them at Crystal Palace. Nothing is given, and that's it's going to be a tough test for us at the weekend. But injuries, as I mentioned at the start, are going to be the ones that are going to be the main talking points here. Aston Villa obviously without 4 players: Boubacar Kamara, Jacob Ramsey, Ezri Konsa, Amadou Onana. Strangely enough, Paddy, it's only Konsa that made me kind of go, I wish we had him. Of the other 3, we've kind of been without them throughout the, at various different points definitely over the last 12 months, but even at various different points this season so far, we've been without them. and sometimes we've been without two of them at a given time. But Kansa's the one that kind of stings.
Yeah, and look, we mentioned Ezri Konsa probably a little bit too much, but for some people, but for me, he's one of our most important players. So when we miss him, it worries me a little bit. And I think I said on the team sheet tantrum or whatever it was the last time that him and Emi Martinez are the only ones that I feel are irreplaceable in what we have, because there's nobody on a par or a level with Ezri Konsa on the right side. So I prefer to have him in there, and there's obviously nobody as good as Emi Martinez, the world's number one. So those two are the ones when one of them goes down, I worry. The best news to come out of this is it probably will be the only game that he misses. So fingers crossed he's back at full tilt during the week, and that we can get him back on the pitch potentially for Juventus.
Yeah, and I think he will be. Well, he's got his fighter's chance to be back for Juventus. I don't expect to see Onana back for Juventus, but I would be very hopeful the Konsa will be back. Just going on what Unai said as well today, it's going to open up the question, Paddy, as to who takes Konsa's place. Like, you know, it's the international break has mellowed an awful lot of talking points, I think, with regards to Aston Villa, but it hasn't really mellowed one talking point in my mind. And it's always been the case since Pau Torres has been brought into the team. It's been a case of a lot of people have been talking about, would he ever play Torres and Mings together? We're going to find out on Saturday. We're going to find that out. If I'm Unai Emery, I'm giving it strong consideration. You know, and I know people will once again probably say that maybe I'm being overly harsh on Diego Carlos. And yes, his form has really picked up. Don't get me wrong on this, but I still see this for sale sign over his head. I still see the price tag when he's running to get a ball. I see the price tag hanging off his shorts. You know, and I don't see that with Tyrone Mings, and that does cloud a lot of my judgment on him. I will say I do have a conscious bias from that point of view. I'm completely aware of it. And I just wonder, does Unai Emery maybe take a look at it this weekend? Do we get to see the two left footers play? Everybody that knows me watches the podcast for any concerted period of time. I think that's I don't believe in it. Just because I've seen it happen. I've seen it play. I've seen two left footers play at centre half before, and it's never been a massive issue. It's not ideal, but it's never been a huge issue. So I wonder, is that what happens? Matty Cash comes in at right back. I think that's a given. But who plays in that right centre back role is going to be
I can answer that question for you. Tomorrow is not the day for any experiments. Tomorrow is the day that Diego Carlos plays. We've been drilling it all week. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a given that Carlos, Pau, Digne and Cash start. We need to stop the rot. Tomorrow is a huge game in our season, and we must win the game. And that's the only way he's going to be looking at it. Not to say if we're 2-0 up or 3-0 up, he doesn't make that change and bring someone on. I don't know. But that's how I see the back four setting up. And nailed on, we see Nedeljkovic on the bench because Matty Cash may not be 100%, so we may need to make that change. So he needs to be there, either Nedeljkovic or Bogard, whoever he decides is that replacement. So that's how I see the back four lining up, and I will be utterly shocked if we see Tyrone Mings in there. But hey, what do we know? What do we know has been going on the training pitch all week. But I just can't see any risks being taken ahead of this one. I think this one is vital to turn our season around. We've a couple of winnable games over the next few weeks, and it's going to be a tough few weeks because we've obviously got we've got 2 Champions League games. We've also got the Brentford midweek game thrown in there. There's a lot going on.
7 games in 21 days.
Yeah, so I don't believe that risk will be taken tomorrow. And I risk is probably the wrong word. Experiment, we'll call it. I don't believe that will happen tomorrow. I think the key thing tomorrow is to get 3 points by any means necessary, because there's tougher games coming than this one. So get this over the line, get the 3 points on the board, get the midweek one out of the way, and just keep motoring on. But it's all about getting points on the board.
Yeah, look, it's all the muchness of who he plays alongside Pau Torres. Hey, Pau Torres mightn't even start. He picked up an injury, but he's obviously fit to play. Maybe Mings is kept in reserve from that point of view, that if he's needed to come on for Pau Torres, you know, and it just, you still have your right and your left, and it doesn't really affect it too much. Who knows? Because when we move on to midfield, Paddy, we still have another decision to make there. Does Ross Barkley come straight back into the team? Do they keep him in reserve? If you keep him in reserve, you have to think it's going to be John McGinn beside Tielemans in that 6 role, which I am actually calling out for. I am calling out for that now. John McGinn is more centrally, because I don't think we need to see him just shifted over to the left to be another Swiss Army knife. Leon Bailey's going to play on the right. Now, because he's fit, he's going to play on the right. Who plays on the left? Do they bring Maatsen in? I know he picked up a knock on international duty, but it seems he's okay.
Yeah.
He's okay. Does he play on the left? Morgan Rogers is going to play through the centre. McGinn, for me, has to play through the centre. Just like, he's a different beast for Scotland. And I know he plays further up the field, but what you take away from his game, putting him out wide, is not worth the juice, ain't worth the squeeze by doing it. Centrally, he gets around the field an awful lot more, and I hope we see him centrally. Yeah.
Dermot, I hope you're well.
Dermot.
He says McGinn being dropped last week was a shocker. Or the last game, sorry. I know he got back in due to the injury. Do we think that Emery's losing faith in him? I think personally that if we've got everyone fit, there's probably no place for John McGinn. You can't shoehorn him in there. So I think that's what happened 2 weeks ago, because it was the first time, if you remember, those 2 games were the first 2 games where we had no injuries. And I think that was just, he was just a victim of us having better players in there to do it. And you say you'd like to see him in the 6th. I'd prefer to see him.
No, I'd like to see him centrally. I don't care whether it's 6, 8, 10. I don't care, but centrally.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think he replaces Jacob Ramsey. I think that's where he starts tomorrow, and Ross Barkley comes back in. Should he be up to full fitness? So that's how I see it. Tielemans and Barkley, Rodgers.
I don't. Does Jaden Philogene maybe come in at that left hand side?
Well, what he could do is play Rodgers in that role, which he has done in the past, and bring McGinn. If it depends how Barkley is sitting with the injury, or how he's recovered from it. But we could see a situation where we've got and I prefer Rodgers a little bit more withdrawn. I think he offers a little bit more to be facing the goal instead of back to the goal. So for me, I'd love to see it that way, but I just can't. If Barkley starts, I think that's where McGinn plays and Rodgers stays where he is. Yeah. But if Rodgers plays off that left, McGinn plays in the 6 alongside Tielemans, then we've got a debate of who plays in that Rodgers role or a 10 role, or do we go 2 strikers? So there's a lot of play, an absolute. It messes my head, so I can only imagine what a man who overthinks absolutely everything, I'd imagine, like Unai Emery does, is absolutely head, neck, and ears into making these decisions. So it's a head scratcher, and I think either or is probably right. Just going back to the point that Dermot made, I don't think he's fallen out of favour by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's just a victim of the system and better players being available in his position. Like we could see Rodgers play off the left and see McGinn in the 10 in his role.
That's how you shoehorn him in.
Yeah. But I hate to say shoehorn John McGinn in, because he's given us so much over the last 5 years. He's our club captain. He's an absolutely brilliant player. He's had more luck for Scotland. Look, 20 goals for Scotland is absolutely incredible out of midfield. absolutely incredible return. I think there's only 2 players ahead of him in Scotland's
Dennis
all-time.
Law and Dalglish, is it?
McCoist and Dalglish, is it?
No, he passed McCoist. McCoist is only on 19. Passed McCoist in the first game, and then he scored the 20th. Yeah.
And what's to say he doesn't improve on that? But look, we'll see. But look, he's been by far and away my favourite player over the last 5 years. What he gave us in the championship, with his goal to get us up, he's been a mainstay, throughout all that. So I absolutely adore him. But I worry that he does become a bit part player if we've got everyone fit. But look, the every football team in the Premier League is suffering through the intensity and the workload and the games that have to be played. So players are going to go down left, right, and centre for every club. Like we had a full bill of health for the first time that I can remember since we came back to the Premier League 2 weeks ago, where we had literally nobody out injured, and that's never going to last. We're always going to have 2 or 3 that are, and hope it's never more than 2 or 3, and definitely not 2 or 3 in the same position, because that gives untold headaches. But that's, I think McGinn covered. I think we're probably both in the same camp with McGinn. We obviously both love him and want him around, and he's obviously a great character around the team. And
he's going nowhere. He's going nowhere. Like, we're not selling John McGinn. It's just, like Ross Barkley at the moment. He's 30 years of age. He's that impact sub that's coming on. John McGinn can still come on and run around like a blue arse fly and keep that press. He's not out. Like, obviously, we're not. I still think he gets in our best 11. I think putting him in that 10 and Rodgers on that left hand side. I think that I think both of those are better than Jacob Ramsey at the moment. I think that, to me, is our best 11. But putting him out wide on the left, I think, that's my issue with John McGinn. Is you're taking away what makes him so good. You're taking away what makes him John McGinn. Is his industry. If he's to be out, and he's to be disciplined on that left hand side. And yes, Mark, I was just about to get to this as well. We're talking about having injuries at the moment, and I don't know how many of these are confirmed out or not. But if you go on to who scored and you look, it's a who's who that's out for Crystal Palace. And we know Eze won't play tomorrow. I can't remember if I read Nketiah is back fit again.
Doubtful.
He's
Lerma,
doubtful. Lerma, Adam
Riyadh is out. Wharton is out. Kamada is suspended.
Matthias Franca is out.
And Franca, yeah. So that's the list.
It's
7 players.
Like there's a lot of people out there, and you're going to be looking at the likes of Jeffrey Schlupp coming in maybe instead of Eze. They're already at Ismail Assar on the right hand side. Midfield, or for whatever reason, the man who comes on and just seems to have his best game of the season against Villa, Will Hughes, will probably start in midfield. He's back from injury too. Check the Toure, a favourite of mine, a nasty player in the middle of midfield, is there as well. You're going to have Munoz, Mitchell, and then the 3 lads at the back as well. So, like, it's one of those ones. They're going to be stuck for options. They're going to be stuck for options from the bench if all those players that are doubtful don't make it. So Aston Villa, while we have some injuries, we do have better options from the bench. Somebody's talking about Buendia at Crystal Palace. We'd love to have a Buendia to be able to come on there at 70 minutes. Now, have we seen Buendia do anything since he's come back outside of that game against Fleetwood? I think it was. Was it in the Johnston Paint or whatever it's called, the car thingy trophy? He hasn't really.
Motors.
That's it. Yeah. He hasn't really done much, but there's we know that there's a player and there's somebody who can unlock teams. What do you make of this Crystal Palace team in 2024-25, Paddy? Because they're not the entity that we thought they would be based on the fact that they absolutely mauled us at the end of the season last year.
No, and you can't base an awful lot on that performance either, given the fact that we just qualified for the Champions League and our players were on the beach, which we said previously. I don't think they're the same unit. I think there's something not quite ticking for them. And look at all the injuries, and of course missing Michael Olise, who's a world class player, who they obviously sold on in the summer. Mateta, very hot and cold. Schlupp, great player, workhorse, will always give
Premier League
100%.
medal.
Pardon?
Premier League medal.
Premier League medal. Is he up to this standard anymore? I don't know. Ismail Assar hasn't done a whole pile since he came back. As you say, Will Hughes and Corey want to win a few quid tomorrow. Will Hughes will pick up a yellow card. That's always a given.
Yeah.
And look, I definitely think they can be got at. There's a lot missing talent wise from what we saw the manager come in and make a huge impression on the league towards the end of last season. They're just not the same as they were. And look, they will cause us problems, but I have to think we do enough to win the game, even if we don't fire on all cylinders. Like, they only barely beat us with a relative reserve team out in the Carabao Cup game. They don't have an awful lot in reserve off the bench, so it will be interesting to see how they line up. And the reason I put up Mark's comment there is because without Eze, I just don't see where the creativity is going to come from. Obviously, they've got big burly players who can be dangerous from set pieces, and we've got to be careful from that. So our defensive set piece is going to be vital tomorrow, because if we give away silly free kicks or corners, they can punish you. Mateta's a big lad as well. He doesn't get bustled off the ball, so he can hold it up and bring players into play if the likes of Schlupp is up for it to get up alongside him. But I personally think that they'll come, set out their stall, and be more than happy to grind out a 0-0 draw or try and hit us on the break for a 1-0. And I think we will dictate the play. We will dictate the pace of the game, and they will do as best as they can to park the bus. And that's how I see tomorrow going.
I have to agree. Yeah, and worse players have played through Aston Villa over the years than Will Hughes. And what I mean by that, I've passed straight through the middle of our midfield and our defence than the likes of Will Hughes and Jeffrey Schlupp. So you have to obviously, and I know that you will give them the caution and the respect they deserve. But if we are where we're supposed to be, and if we are this team that is on the up, and if we are this team that has overcome those hurdles and those demons, and have that experience and have learned from the past however many 6 years or whatever that the majority of this team has been together, then we don't let that happen. We don't let that happen. But you mentioned about where does the creativity come from? Olise, Eze, as you mentioned, gone. The massive passing range of Adam Wharton gone as well, which is massive. Absolutely massive. What a player he is. The arrows in their quiver are diminished. So, and will they come to park the bus? You can be sure of it. You can absolutely be sure of it, I think, because Oliver Glasner has picked up a couple of results recently. Obviously, they've got a win and a draw more recently, and they're on, I think, 7 points at the moment. So it's not as dire straits as it was. But away games, when you're down the bottom of the table, if you can draw all your away games between now and the end of the season, you will stay up. That's you're going to be a comfortable mid-table team, and a lot of teams who bad starts to the season, that's what they go out and look to do. Just be resolute away from home. Be absolutely on it and lying in the long grass when you're at home, and that's going to keep you to where keep you mid-table. So I'm not expecting anything easy. I'm going to be terrified of corners. You've got Gay, you've got Chalobah, you've got Doucouré, you've got Mateta, you've got Schlupp. Schlupp is still he's a big man in there. He's he's 5'10", but we've seen him score goals. He scored 18 goals for Palace. I know it's over 200 appearances, I think is what it was when I looked it up earlier on today. But they all deserve respect. They all deserve the respect because we're the ones who are on a bad run as much as they are. So we need to get back up on the horse, and until we do that, we need to respect absolutely every player that comes over the white lines and plays against us. So it's going to be a tight enough affair. I hope Villa score early. Ronan has mentioned here. Ronan has mentioned here about will we have a penalty tomorrow? I think we will get a penalty tomorrow. I hope we get a penalty tomorrow. because it has been
I
a
think I
while.
predicted that in our group today, did I?
December 2023? Is that what you said it was?
December 2020. In the Premier League, we haven't had a penalty since December 2023. Yeah.
It's nearly coming up in a calendar year.
Yeah. So it's
coming up in a
like,
calendar year.
how many times have you heard people say on the fan channels, we don't know who our penalty taker is because Dougie's not there. So yeah, it's
it's Morgan Rogers or Tielemans. It's one of the two. It just has to be. It has to be. Absolutely has to be. But hopefully we find out.
I think he'll let Ollie Watkins take them if anyway, we'll see. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow we do get to see it. Yeah, we get to see it maybe tomorrow. Couple of you guys go into the comments here. Subhome Gamer asks, would you bring Louis Barry back in January? I'm a no on it, and I'm a no on it from the point of view that I think Louis Barry needs to get his cockiness back. I think he needs to get the right cockiness is what I would say. The right cockiness and get it back. Staying for the whole year at Grimsby, was it Grimsby, wasn't it? It was. Or was it Notts County? Was it Grimsby or Notts County that Jack Grealish was at?
Notts County.
Notts County. Yeah. Did him no harm, and he came back. I don't think the level that he's playing at is the issue. I think it's him remembering how good he can be at a level that will knock the like you can be cocky and not arrogant, if that makes sense. And as you grow up, you begin to learn that, and you can take your licks and learn it. And I think he's got 10 goals or whatever it is now in League One. Go and score 20 goals in League One this season and come back to us, because being at the top or being at the scoring end of League One and being at the middle of a championship of the championship and maybe getting 25% less game time, I think it's a much of a muchness. I think it's game time this guy needs. I think it's game time, and just that kind of trigger memory to remember that, hey, I can turn around and I can ping him in from fucking anywhere because my right foot is that good, and that's, I think, what he needs more so than playing at that level, if that makes sense.
I would be on the other end of it, because there's a lot of moving parts that could see that being a reality, and those moving parts are injuries in that part of the pitch, players sold in that part of the pitch, and if we get to the back end of the transfer window in January and we haven't been able to replace or upgrade some of the players, then he could end up back in there. If he comes back in, he will need to really work hard and up his game to get up to the level of the Premier League, and I believe he has the capabilities of doing it. It's just, as you say, get the swagger back, be as aggressive and pompous as you absolutely want to be, and believe in yourself. And there's managers there that have put belief in him over the last couple of years. You see that goal he scored against Wrexham 2 weeks ago, or last week, whatever it was. Incredible finish.
Yeah,
he has it in his locker. He's able to do it. It's just getting his head in the right place. He could come in and potentially do a really good job for us. And he could come in tomorrow after 60 minutes and really unlock that Crystal Palace defence for us. Be that winning set pieces from free kicks with his trickery, or getting himself into the box and getting shots away, or shooting from outside the box, which he has in his locker as well, as we've seen. So he's a lot to offer. I hope one day we do see the fruits of his labour. And I think if we can't get the moving parts to work towards the back end of January, that we will see him come back in, especially if he continues on the trajectory that he's on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be bringing him back just for the sake of it, but
I wouldn't either. No,
there are moving parts with regards to it. But whether we there was another comment in there, I can't quite find it. Somebody said, "Do we bring him back and send him on loan to the Championship?" I just don't know, is the juice worth the squeeze of doing that? If you bring him back, you hold on to him. If not, you leave him there and you leave him become a legend. You just do. You let him fire them to promotion. That's where I would find it. Ian says, what do you think of Doak? Could he be the answer for a right wing? I think that there's no hope in hell we would be able to sign Ben Doak. I think that Liverpool absolutely adore him, and they paid a big chunk to get him down from Celtic, if I remember rightly, back in the day. Fine player, absolutely really fine player. But I think Liverpool would have we'll have him handcuffed to the Shankly gates, I think, for quite a while more. Richard Chard says incoming Baina. Not the first person that said that to me in the last couple of the first person that's DM'd me that on Twitter as well. So there's an undercurrent for him. There's been an undercurrent for him for the last 2.5 years. Realistically, the last 2 years.
There's someone on the other side of the screen that sent that to you yesterday, isn't it?
Yeah. There's somebody else that's on the screen here that sent that to me yesterday as well. So we'll see what the story is there. Absolute banger of a player. Like Jesus, we're talking like you're like this. We talk. Somebody else has mentioned there. Do we see Douglas Luiz come back in January? If, as I said before, if we bring Douglas Luiz back in January, Monchi deserves a free night on us. Is like to be able to do the deal we did, get hammered for it, and get him back in January for half the season to solidify our position in the Premier League would just be like that's butter on the popcorn, really. Like that's really what that is. But if we talk about what Douglas Luiz would be and was to this team, like Alex Baena has the potential to far exceed that based on what he's doing for Villarreal. If you say income Baena three times, it will happen. 3 times backwards into a mirror. It's like Baena juice into a mirror. But like just what he's doing with Villarreal at the moment is incredible. Like the statistics, the numbers he's putting up for that team, the output, the attacking output, the output he does all over that middle third of the field. Absolutely, sign me up every day of the week and twice on Sundays, or twice on Saturdays at 3:00.
A lot of people got sidetracked with the whole João Felix talk in the summer. I'm always firmly believed that Baena is our number one target and will continue to be our number one target into the January transfer window. And maybe it mightn't even happen until the summer. But it's gonna take a lot of money to shift him in January, probably more than it would in the summer. So that might have a lot to do with what happens, but it's definitely one to watch.
Just give me 2 seconds here. He signed a he signed an extension to his contract last summer. I couldn't remember whether he was out of contract in 2025 or not, and he was, and he signed a contract extension in January 2023. Sorry, not last summer. I thought it was June 2023. He signed a contract extension then, and he's there. He's contracted to 2028 now. He'll be talking about 50 million for him.
Michael asked his value there. I would anticipate somewhere between 50 and 70, depending on what he does between now and someone having to pay the money. Look, Spanish international absolutely lights up the pitch every time he gets on it. So you're going to pay a premium for him. So whether we tried to do that in the summer and couldn't do it with our hands tied behind our back because of financial fair play, I don't know. But it's one to watch for sure. I suppose the fact he obviously is a huge admirer of him. He gets asked that a lot in Spanish interviews, so in his native tongue, and he but it rarely gets asked it in English. So that's why we haven't had too much talk about it.
Yeah, Rachel asked, does Baena have a release clause? I think every player in Spain has to have a release clause, but if I remember rightly, there's these always get reported. You don't know how true they are, but there's like Champions League teams outside of La Liga, and so on. Because I remember Barcelona were quoted one price, and other teams were quoted another. But yes, I think is the short answer on that, because every Spanish player has to have a release clause. Have to have a release clause. Paddy, I'm going to take a little sidestep for a moment. Because we're getting down to transfer rumor stuff at the minute, and I kind of want to step away from that for a minute, because we've got so many football games coming up, and we will have plenty of time to talk about that. And I, never hear me saying stuff like that, but I am. Villa launched the Legacy Wall, the AV150 Legacy Wall, and I've purchased my tile on the wall already, and I'm going to proudly have a tile there. I know that you have a cobblestone at Villa Park, and that entitles you to get a tile on the Legacy Wall also, which is great. But I really like this idea. I know it's something that they said was always going to happen, but the fact it's come to fruition, I really like the idea, because there's just something about not being able to go every week, but still having my name somewhere in around Villa Park as long as the wall will stay there. That's I'm going to treasure. I got the replica
Yeah.
plaque as well, by the way, so it'll be up here behind me one of the days when it comes.
You see, that's where they've caught me. You see, because they've said to me, well, they didn't actually say they're going to take my cobble away. That's been there for 26 years. I think we worked out. They didn't actually say they're taking it away. They just said
They're
if you
leaving
have a
those, aren't
cobble.
they? Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any sense to be taking it up. Anyway, so they said email if you have a cobble or whatever, and they email me back and say yes, you're entitled to this. What wording do you want on your new plaque? And they'll still get £80 out of me because I'll end up buying the replica plaque to stick up here behind me somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah. I bought the pack, I bought the certificate, and then once you've bought, then just for anybody who hasn't bought it, once you've bought, you can download your own PDF of the certificate as well. So you can buy a printed out one for 15 quid or something like that, or you can just print it out yourself, your own PDF version afterwards, so you get it. But I didn't know that until I bought it. But look, it'll be nice to have it here, as you say. Look, like I know people who still have their old Villa shares. That you know, those share certificates and stuff like that they've got those framed at home when Doug sold up to Randy Lerner and all that, you know, all these little bits and pieces, they're memorabilia. They show our love for the club, and I really like that idea. It's not going to be a money spinner, you know, for the club. It's not going to be a money spinner. I think I tried to calculate it. If they'd need something like 10,000 of those plaques to be able to make any fucking decent coin out of it at all. And they may get those. I don't know where they put them, but I don't know how is it going to be like the Wall of Berlin or something like that? Yeah, it'd be a big wall, but we see it's nice. Look, and once again, you know, you see around Villa Park, you see even over the last year or two, the banners as you walk up to the ground, the murals around the ground, everything now around the ground is getting a banner to tell you what it is. The fan zone that's there. This is all just making Villa Park so noticeable as you go past it, that it is a pilgrimage. It is a chapel of sorts, and you know, it's you're in no two minds as to who plays there. You know, if you find yourself around that part of Birmingham and are completely oblivious to the fact that you're around there, you know, it's a nice little totem pole, if you want to call it, for want of a better word, to let people know that you know you're coming in here. Watch all games along here. That's our army there behind us, even though they might not be in the stands. We've got a big army behind us here, so better bring your A game. All that stuff. I love all that shit. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of it. And another little piece of news with regards to Aston Villa, Paddy, and I spoke earlier at the very start of the podcast about the kind of the pat in the back, kicking the arse analogy over Unai Emery in the loss of certain games recently. But the whole specifically mentioning Aston Villa rowing in behind Man City with the ATP piece as well. Before I get into that, the ATP piece is not the 115 charges. Completely different. I'm actually in favour of the ATP piece. I think Aston Villa should have stood up for it if they think that it was the right thing, that if it would have benefited the club, I think they should have stood up for it. And I'm actually happy that they did. I've no animosity towards them from that point of view. People will believe, and I think my internet might be going. I'm not 100% sure because Paddy's just gone off on my screen. So let me know if you can hear me. I don't know if anybody can hear me, or if I've lost internet. But I keep talking anyway. People will believe it's connected to the 115. It was used as a kind of a negative stick to beat us with, but I think that Aston Villa should have did do the right thing there, and they should have put their name towards it, because when push came to shove, 4 teams voted against it. Aston Villa, Manchester City, who are the 2 vocal teams about it, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest. I know for a fact Everton would have voted for it, and there's 1 or 2 other clubs that would have voted for it if they thought that it would have been passed. But because the plurality wasn't there to pass it, some teams didn't vote for it. I firmly believe that, based on what I've seen other fans talk about and what I've seen other boards talk about it, they would have voted for it if they thought it would pass. but they didn't because they didn't think it would pass. And look, in some instances, there's negative publicity that comes with it. Aston Villa took the bullets from that point of view. Nassif Sawiris' face was all over the place. But I think Villa were right to stand up for what they like. They would have been pretty, in my view, they would have been pretty, how would I put it? They would have been pretty hypocritical, in my view, if they didn't back this, yet we're looking to change FFP laws. We've made no secret of the fact that we want to juice our income and our earnings because we've got rich owners. Other teams have done it before us. We have no debt, like Newcastle, no debt. We've got rich owners, and we're not like a team who's got a ton of debt and can spend like drunken sailors. There is a fallacy with regards to FFP. I'm glad the club stood up for it, and it didn't pass. And look, we move on and see what the story is. But it's for me, I think they were dead right to put their name to it and to have the balls to put their hand up and say, lads, we are going to fucking, like, if we get a chance to spend money, we are going to spend it. And if anybody thinks that our owners are going to pack up and lose faith in this, if we don't get Champions League for a year or two in the go, I think that the vote today was, and I've had some people say to me the complete opposite. But I genuinely believe that this is the vote of confidence or the vote of faith that they want to be relieved of their money in the pursuit of glory with Aston Villa Football Club. So fucking bring it on. Let's find a way to get their wallet widely open for Aston Villa, and let's go in and enjoy ourselves, and fuck the rest of them. They might think that we're overspending or whatever. And I need that FFP talk. So there's my little sermon now over that.
Yeah, I had to jump off there briefly.
You're grand.
I knew that you were going to go off on one on that, and the only thing I'll have to say about it is, I think it shows the ambition of our owners that we're fighting alongside Manchester City. It's not us rowing in and being like Manchester City. We just saw a way, and this is something you're going to see an awful lot of in the next few years. We need to find a way to compete at the top table, and if that means giving us a few extra quid in financial fair play, we've seen them try and fight back on certain issues. So this is only the start of it. The 115 charges have not gone away. I've still got a major pain in my fucking arse because they announced that the week they played us, and their fans were up for it, the team was up for it, and it was two fingers up to the Premier League and everybody else, and they sang about cheating and all that crack on the day. So it's really annoyed me and irked me ever since that we're now a year later and nothing has happened. Absolutely nothing has happened. They offer absolutely nothing to us, the Premier League. The people who are there should probably take a long, hard look at themselves and wonder why they're still in a job, because they don't represent the football fan. If they can make statements like that and not back them up, that should have been a simple case of Manchester City have broken rules. They're going to court. They're going to court on this date. But no, a year later, nothing has happened. And it's pushed back from January now potentially to March.
So we were supposed to expect a verdict in January. Now it's March.
Yeah,
and
Guardiola's up to throw lawyers and lawyers and the best lawyers in the world at it to push it back and push it back and push it back.
And Guardiola is have to sign another 2-year contract. So read between the lines, I would say. They're too worried about anything happening.
They don't believe that anything is going to happen with this. The fans don't believe it. The club don't believe it. Guardiola said he'd leave if something did happen. I personally think that's a load of shit. But it's that 2-year contract it shows the faith that they had in him as well, because they're heading into a period now where they're a little bit hamstrung with FFP. They've bought badly. The backup isn't there for coming off the bench,
and they're aging.
It could be one of their worst seasons in a long time. So we'll see.
Man City are aging.
Yeah,
like De Bruyne might be in the MLS next year. Kyle Walker, somebody suggested we get him when his contract is up. No, look, I'm obviously being facetious. Yeah. He went to Lansdowne Road in 1983 as well, Paddy, for his first game. I'd say Kyle Walker. But like when I say they're aging, I'm obviously being facetious. They still have best striker in the world at the moment, but there's no guarantee. Like Erling Haaland is bonkers, lads. We like, is anybody going to acknowledge the fact that he is batshit crazy? He could just wake up in the morning and decide he wants to sign for Barcelona. Like, and I have a funny feeling that he will do that. If Mbappe starts to hit form and it starts to be Mbappe versus Haaland, he's going to take the fight to Mbappe in his own league and sign for Barcelona, because Haaland can just decide who the hell he wants to sign for. He's the best player in the world, best striker in the world.
Yeah.
So, that's, I think that's where their mind is. They've already lost Julian Alvarez. They had to sell him. Obviously, they've got great players. Don't get me wrong. And to my mind, they're still favourites to win the league. But you talked about FFP stuff like that. If the piper has to be paid for them, given the wealth that they have and the exorbitant wealth that they have, well, then it's going to come at the cost of having aging players. But who says Saudi don't buy Kevin De Bruyne for 455 million and sort them all out? Maybe the Middle East boys winking a nod across the table at each other at some summit, and before you know it, the PIF, or is it the PIF, decide they want to blow $500 million on a 33-year-old ginger Belgian, take him out to the desert where he's going to fry to a crisp. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there? But anyway, that is really tangential what we got on today. We're talking about Man City's potential FFP woes. We never know.
When we come on here, Neil, you said we'd be lucky to get a half an hour of this. We're 51 minutes into it. There was something else that I in the back of my mind, I said, I've got to bring that up on the podcast. And I completely forgot about it when I was talking to you earlier. And that is...
The Villa won, the women won?
No.
All right.
The Howard Webb as I call him, promised us back in September.
Yes.
We would have fully semi-automated offsides after one of the international breaks. That means that tomorrow he needs to be called out and go, where the fuck is the semi-automated automated
It's not happening this year. Did you read the article about it?
No.
They said, we've taken teams' concerns into account, and it would be unfair to introduce it now because there could be different outcomes to games. You could have done that at the start of the year.
He should have done it at the start of the season. It just smacks of bullshit, as everything else the fucking PGMOL do. Bullshit. Anyway.
Bite the tongue, Paddy. Bite the tongue. We're not going to go into David Coote. We said we'd only talk about David Coote if someone asked about it. We're not going to go into it because we're 52 minutes and 37 seconds here. And it's probably yesterday's news anyway about David Coote. But look, he's going to get whatever he deserves, whatever comes out of it. He's a lot of face to save. But
I will give it 60 seconds, right? And
go
get it out of the way.
Go. I knew I had to bring it up.
First and foremost, what David Coote did was absolutely awful on many levels. Number two, if you've got teenage kids, sit them down and show them what that shower of gobshites did to their potential friend by releasing that video, and let people know that when you put something online or somebody takes out a camera, it's there forever. It's not going anywhere. And I think there's a huge lesson in this for kids that, especially boys who share stuff online very, very easily. You need to look at how this materialized and how it came out. But on the other hand, I believe that David Coote doesn't have a future in the game. But I think he doesn't have a future in the game anyway, because he's a bog standard referee and very, very poor. So regardless of what he did, that's up to the guys at PGMOL, who I don't trust anyway, to make a decision. They'll probably make an example of him. I believe they probably will. But why they haven't done that already, it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
On another level, the stuff that's been shared online about this person who is obviously a human being who has a family.
Yeah.
People need to be very careful about what they say. So
there's
a
guy who
took
down. Yeah, there's a guy who took down a lot of stuff off the internet. that was
Yeah.
really damning. You know, Scott Taggart says here, Coots' friends are as bad as his refereeing. I feel a bit sorry for him. Do you know, I feel sorry for him, but then I think about the time he pulled out his phone and started texting other referees about going on a big bender in a travel lodge after the Spurs and Man City game. And then I go, fuck him again. You know, like that to me. And I know, once again, he's a human. He's fine. He's a human. I don't know what it is. Like, I suppose, look, have I gone into the dressing room at halftime, taken out my phone in the middle of a match and checked maybe the score of whatever of another game that's on, or text my mother or something like that? I 100% have. So am I as guilty as that? But I'm not getting paid. I'm not a professional referee in the Premier League. I don't know why that one sticks in my craw, probably more than anything else. I couldn't care less what he said about Jurgen Klopp, really. I really don't. But that I don't know
either,
why that. I don't know why that gets me.
Yeah, yeah. I have an issue with his job. And
yeah, me too.
Look,
yeah.
If I'm not doing my job, my boss comes down on me like a ton of bricks, and I end up either walking or being sacked. That's part of life. So this guy is not Premier League level refereeing, but I would say just be careful of the element of it, because we've seen a lot of high profile people do silly things because of the pressure that's been put on them. So I would suggest let them deal with it, and deal with it the way it should be, and probably should have been already. But I've no faith in Howard Webb. I've no faith in PGMOL. They do absolutely nothing to help themselves. And we're now 2 weeks after this story broke, and
this is like a thing. Do you know what this is, Paddy? This is a thing. He's been on gardening leave, and then 9 o'clock Christmas Eve, PGMOL will have a statement released at 9 p.m. Christmas Eve. No, on Christmas Day I come, there'll be no real reporting, and then you'll have Boxing Day, Stevens Day or whatever. Coot won't be on there, and then everyone will be too full of turkey to remember. Yeah. This one will be put out at an opportune time. Yeah. You know, the
club need to ask the question: did he know that video was being released when he didn't give those 2 penalties to us against Liverpool? There you are. I've said it. I've said it out loud.
Yeah, I don't know why I highlighted that one, but it was apt.
That was that's been irking me since the game itself. So here we have a referee who's obviously not done the job to the best of his ability, and we've acknowledged that for some time, not just after that game. And then 2 days after, he blatantly could have, definitely one penalty.
The Torres one was a penalty.
I think the Torres one was a penalty. But what did he book Ollie Watkins for? Or what did he give the free kick against Ollie Watkins for? You know,
to this day,
and no yellow card, no explanation. I don't know. I'm just I'm at a loss to what the purpose is of him being in the middle, because he's not capable of doing that job. So,
and the referees go on. Sorry.
Well, I've just told people not to go so heavy on him because of that. This is the crux of it. He's not a capable referee. He shouldn't be there. So the league need to make that decision first and foremost, because there's now a load of questions that need answering.
Yeah. The refereeing group this weekend for the Palace game, just to tie a bow on it, and maybe even talk about Palace again for a bit. I think it's been about maybe 40 minutes since we did. But to talk about Palace again, the refereeing group is, to my mind, relatively obscure, which I'm absolutely fine with. As I text Paddy, I goes, don't know a whole pile about any of them. He goes, I can be guaranteed you will. You'll be guaranteed you will at 5 o'clock on Saturday. I was there. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. But I was texting the wrong man anyway there, showing a bit of sympathy for referees. But yeah. But no, look, as I say, look, you're right, Paddy. David Coote, look, he's done what he's done, and the PGMOL will come down on it, and I can't see him refereeing a game for a long, long time. So, like, I don't think there's any need to completely disgrace him for the rest of his life or whatever. He's just going to pay the price of losing his job, and probably should, for the unprofessionalism. So we'll that's where we would leave. Where I would be leaving my disdain for David Coote with regards to that. And I'm also going to be leaving this podcast as well, because we're coming up in an hour, and you guys might be looking at me. My eyes are closing. I put up on Twitter this morning, and thanks Noel Connaughton for telling me to just get on with it. But I've been doing 4:30 in the morning to midnight for like I can't even remember. It's months at this stage, and watch my bloodshot eyes and everything. Like doing it for months, so I'm fit to fall asleep if I go on any longer. And I definitely won't be making any semblance of sense. So I think we're going to wrap a bow on this one, Paddy.
Yeah.
With regards to team sheet, go on.
One last shout out before you go. Congratulations to Mark Holmes, Bud, who's often seen on the podcast here. He got married yesterday. So congratulations to him, and we wish you a long and happy life together. And get yourself back in case I need a hand on the team sheet tantrum.
Yeah, no honeymoon, because I was just about to talk about the team sheet tantrum. I might be MIA again tomorrow. Just have some family stuff need to do tomorrow. We won't have a post match directly after the game as well, because neither of the two of us will be available directly after. But on Sunday we will be back with a post match.
I'm available, but I'm
you might be, yeah.
Yeah, I'm available, but I won't be doing a post match because I don't like doing them, especially on my own. Anyway,
yeah.
But
especially if we lose, Jesus.
Yeah,
I'd have to ban you from the stream.
For a few days. I'm heading to Dublin for a few days, so I'll be on location tomorrow.
Yeah,
and I will look after the team sheet tantrum, and we will get some kind of team sheet tantrum done.
Yeah,
be it from my parents' house in Dublin. So
yeah,
there we go.
And I'll be in Limerick tomorrow. So I won't be around. Well, I might be. You might be able to jump on for 5-10 minutes, but that's about it. So apologies. I know we're back from our hiatus and we're already taking shortcuts already, but just the way it is for this weekend.
Sometimes real life gets in the way. Yeah.
Sometimes real life gets in the way. Exactly. Sometimes real life gets in the way is right. But don't worry, we'll be back. You'll be able to hear us talk shite about it at some stage anyway. So don't worry about that. Now we've gone over the hour mark, Paddy. I'm definitely going to tie a bow on it this time. Want to finish up? Mark Woods here says like and subscribe. Some of you may know that I just decided to stream us on Facebook again today. So if you know if anybody that uses Facebook doesn't like to jump onto the old YouTube or whatever else, I'll be honest, I'd prefer if they were on YouTube. Because I'd like to have everybody in the same spot. But look, reaching, expanding our reach is what we're about as well. So don't be afraid to tell anyone. You can find us now on Facebook and on the artist formerly known as Twitter and on YouTube as well. Yeah, so you'll be able to find us there on our streams. So yeah. Anyway, I'm really rambling now because I'm really tired. So I'm just going to wrap it up my normal way and say thanks very much, everybody, for listening, like and sharing your way out. I really appreciate all your time. And in the meantime, we will be back at some stage tomorrow with a team sheet tantrum. But stay safe, stay healthy. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Oh no, it's supposed to play.